typical girl. I ain't no typical. I ain't cheerleading while the boys play ball. I ain't no typical girl. No, I wanna be right there in the middle of it all. And welcome back to another episode of the Music Cafe. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. I'm so glad that you're here with us. It's going to be a fantastic evening. This cafe is full of is full, if I can speak English, is full of amazing, incredible people that just know so much about the industry. And we're going to be focusing more on the business side of show business, which is going to be kind of fun, talking legal, syncing, music, contracts, all the above, with, of course, your writers round, naturally. But it's going to be kind of fun. If you guys have any questions or any comments for our guests, please pop them in the live comments. I will put them on the screen. We'll all chat about it. Any major questions, anything small, anything on your mind, you're welcome to comment it. If you're new to the cafe, pick up your laptop or pick up your cell phone, however you're watching this, run over to the kitchen, grab a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, piece of cake, and bring it back to a couch and sit back and relax. If you are a regular, welcome. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. I'm going to be bringing up our guests now. If you're at home, just going to give them a round of applause as they come up, but I'm going to sort of introduce them as they come up. First, we have Jono Johansson. He's a singer-songwriter in South Africa. Hi, Jono. Thank you for joining me. Next, we have Tracy and Vance Marino from the States. Thank you so much for joining us. I really do appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Not least, we have Christian Steen, also from South Africa. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Well, guys, I'm so excited for this music cafe because this, like I said, this is a room full of knowledge of the industry. And I think for any up-and-coming artist or somebody who's been here for a while, it's more valuable to learn something new. You're always learning something new, and to sort of pick up tips along the way and make sure that you're making the right decision. So I'm really excited for this particular show. Before we dive in, I would love everybody just to give like a hashtag Tinder bio version of who you are, what you do, just so our viewers know who you are. Jono, would you like to start?
Fine, if I have to. So my name is Jono Johansson. I'm a musician, been around for a long time, but I'm still a kiddo at heart and probably on the outside a little bit as well. I was a finalist on The Voice South Africa Season 1, and it's been an amazing journey from then to be an awesome educational point to having discussions like this where I can help other people, you know, who are in the same boat that I was. Yeah, hashtag Tinder bio.
Hashtag Tinder bio. Your wife know that you're good at this whole Tinder bio thing?
I've never owned Tinder, so I don't know what it is, but yeah.
A lot of us don't know, so it's all good. I just use it because it sounds cool. So I'm going to ask Tracy and Vance. You guys have been on the show before. Thank you so much for coming back. I had you on last month with the NSAI, the National Songwriting Association International episode, and you guys just know so much. I needed to have you back. So thank you for joining me. Do you mind giving everybody again just a good hashtag Tinder bio of who you guys are?
Sure, thank you. I'm Tracy Marino, and hashtag we do not need Tinder because we're a married couple, and we've been doing songwriting since we met many years ago, and now we're full-time songwriters, composers, and producers for the film and TV, what's called the sync market, not S-I-N-K, but S-Y-N-C. So it's a little different. We'll be talking about that. So. And Vance?
Ditto.
I love that.
That's very short.
No, yeah. Just above, pull into, pull text, same text, copy paste. I understand that. No, I love that. Thank you so much, guys. Like you said, can't wait to get into the syncing side of things because I think it's an aspect of the industry not a lot of musos know about or know the bits and pieces of it, how to get into it, what is the best route and all that. So I'm going to be I'm really excited to talk to you guys about that. Last but not least, Christian. You've been watching us. You've been commenting like crazy. You're one of those cool cats. So I'm so happy to have you part of the show, and just like you and fame.org also part of this. I'm really, really happy to have you guys on board. Do you mind giving everybody just a hashtag Tinder bio of who you are?
Okay, well, me shortly, but Fame, I'm more, you can view me as fame.org.za. I'm a musician turned IP attorney, so I specialize in trademarks, copyright, things like that. And coming from a music side, going through the industry, noticing that South African musicians, like I think all musicians, need legal support, but I can't necessarily afford it in South Africa. I decided last year to actually found fame.org.za, which is the foundation for the advancement of musicians' empowerment, to be in a long way.
Nice.
What we do is we offer free legal support and guidance to SA musicians, specifically on copyright-related questions, and then legal, like the legal side of the music industry, agreements. We look over agreements for them, give them sort of pointers what to look at, things like that. And like I said, it's pro bono, it's free of charge. So musicians just need to come to us, and we sort of point them in the right direction when it comes to the legality surrounding their music. Yeah.
No, and I thank you, and I love what you do. I believe in what you do. We had a Zoom call last week, or this week, saying how much I told you how much I really do love what you do, and I think this show sort of put itself together because of the different aspects of what you guys do. So I think thinking that I'd love to start with you guys. If you could tell me, where did it start with music? And at what point did it turn to the syncing side of industry? Just the beginning side of things, just so we can sort of move people into the conversation. Where did the syncing side of the industry come into play with you guys?
For me personally, I always wanted to be a songwriter, but it was always for fun. So I never knew you could really make some income from it until probably about 20 years ago, which sounds like a long time to you guys, but for us, we went to a music convention, and this fellow played his songs. He was into sync at that time, but it wasn't really a known thing for a lot of people. And Vance and I just sat there listening to it, and we said, oh my goodness, this is what we want to do with our life. So it's a little different than songwriting and just composing. For us, we have a project and a deadline and a purpose. Whereas if you're just a songwriter, we would write songs just for fun and perform them, but never made any money at them. So it's a little different way of writing music. So
we decided that we want music. Actually, I think music decided for us that that's what we want to do for a living. I don't know that I'm really qualified to do anything else. And as they say, if you're doing what you love, you don't work a day in your life. And that's certainly, there's some truth to that. There's going through contracts and metadata and all that fun stuff. That's when it feels like work for sure. But we realized that, okay, if we're going to be somehow involved with music, and there's so many different ways to do that for a living. And we mostly know, you know what, nobody hands you a menu as a musician saying, well, you can do this or you can do this. We just figure, I learn to play and I write and I go and I perform. That's what you do, right? And that necessarily leads you to success, and you can buy a house and raise a family, and that's all a lie. Most of it's a lie. It's hard to break. There are people that do it, but there are so many more that don't. And it seems to us that as songwriters and composers, that either you have a number one hit and you make millions of dollars, or you make nothing. Where's the middle class? Where are the people that just, they're making a decent living? They don't have jets and fancy cars, but they're just living a regular life. How do you do that? We didn't like the idea of all or nothing. Where's the middle ground? And as we searched for the menus to see what's available, what options are there, what paths are available, as Tracy said, we kind of stumbled onto, you can make money by writing music for film and TV. I always wondered where that music came from, and so we just, we live a 2-hour drive We're in San Diego, a 2-hour drive from Los Angeles. So, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, we started driving up there where the music business is. And as it turns out, the film television music business is, and started finding out how do you do that? How do you get your music into film and TV? And there are a bunch of different ways to do that. We found a way that works for us, that we're comfortable with, and that's what we do.
It's kind of like, you see in Hollywood the big famous actor, Brad Pitt, and, they make millions of dollars on a movie. And then there are other people that do theater and maybe make $40 a year. And then there are the character actors in TV and, movies and video games and all kinds of stuff. And they maybe make a comfortable living raising some kids. That's kind of what this is. You can make some really good money and you might not make anything, but a lot of people do make pretty good money. So it's another avenue to explore if you're a musician and songwriter.
Yeah. And you guys have some major hits. I mean, New Girl, Say the Dress. I mean, so it's kind of stupid when it comes to looking at my mind frame. Like, it's ridiculous what you guys have done. It's incredible. I can't find the right adjective to describe it. And I want to get into sort of how you got into that world, because as an up and coming artist, trying to figure out what are the right steps to make. Is there a menu? Is there a map? And there isn't. And I would be great to sort of dig in your brains when it comes to what steps you took to get into the industry. So we're going to get there for sure. I love this topic. I really do. But Jono, would you mind just telling us where did the music start for you? When did you start songwriting? I mean, you've been songwriting for years and years and years and years and years. So I mean, where did it start for you, and the songwriting, and then writing for other people, perhaps? Is it or writing with other people? Is it a different space? You go into all the above.
Okay, no problem. So music is a journey that started for me a very, very long time ago. Well, for me, it's what seems like a very, very long time ago. It's the majority of my life. I had this conversation on a show I did last week about where music came from. And funnily enough, for me, that passion came from Brian May, who was obviously the guitarist for Queen. And I was watching one of their live shows on DVD. I think it was live in Budapest. And I fell in love with the guitar from then. And I was like, Mommy, Daddy, please give me a guitar. From then on. And my cousin also played guitar as well. And it was an instrument that's always intrigued me. And so when I started learning to play the guitar, it was then my guitar teacher who told my mom, listen, your kid's got a beautiful voice. He should go for some vocal training, etc., etc., etc. And then it just started building from when I was a kid. And I started trying to dig my claws into as many different spaces of music and of the music industry that I could. So I kind of exposed myself to as many genres of music as possible and learned as many genres of music as possible. So when I was about 14 or so and I went off to high school, it was quite funny because I was doing classical music and jazz and rock at the same time, all on 3 different instruments, learning different genres at the same time. And all my teachers were fighting with each other because you know how people are within their genre. Something is done a certain way, and if it's not done that way, then it's not right. But my view of music is if you can learn different things from different genres, you can incorporate them to create something new, something different, and actually create originality as opposed to trying to just recreate a formula over and over and over again. Why not break the boundaries of what that is, like Queen did themselves? I mean, with Bohemian Rhapsody, I'm sure most people have seen the film, but the actual history behind their music, like Bohemian Rhapsody in itself, was a song that broke the barriers between classical music and rock music and kind of married the two together. And it's like, this is what you can create if you just open your mind up to learning new things. Just because you don't understand it or haven't grown up exposed to it doesn't mean that it's not something, you know, that could take you on a path that creates something special.
Totally.
Yeah. And I mean, I started writing music when I was about, I would say, 11 years old or so. And it started with some really, 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 really corny songs. as everything does when you start from the beginning. You know, you got to start from somewhere and build yourself up. And I didn't understand the significance of it at the time, but I would actually take like melodic phrases from certain songs that I'd heard and loved and try and put them into my own songs. And I'm like, why can't I make that sound like not Taylor Swift or not things like, because, you know, melody is a little bit more complicated than that. So, yeah. So it kind of built from there. And, you know, songwriting for me is not something that should be taken seriously all the time, but it is also something that requires a lot of attention and nurturing and practice. I mean, writing it's something that you should never stop doing and never stop learning.
Yeah, definitely. It's a muscle that you're constantly
And
training.
yeah,
I know. I totally agree with what you're doing. It's a skill that I think a lot of people are born with a talent, but you can't just sit around expecting this talent to just develop by itself. You have to work at it every day. You got to write every day. You got to sit in front of your computer, laptop, guitar, piano, whatever it is, to work at the skill. So I totally agree with you. I didn't realize you started writing at 11. I started writing at around 11 as well. So we're twinning on that one,
yeah.
Jono. So, listen, Christian, you sort of have a bit of a diverse and interesting background because you love music and you play a number of instruments. I mean, look at the guitars behind you. But then you went to study law, which is really, I don't know, interesting. I mean, I find that really interesting. Where did the music part of your life start, and then when did it become law? Yeah, what was that? Where was that space?
Well, I grew up in a musical family. My mom was constantly in or behind the piano. My dad sings, he plays saxophone. My sister plays piano and bass. So from childhood, I grew up in this musical house with my mom listening only to classical music and a Vita and things like that. And my dad listening to like that age rock music, Queen, things like that. And then I just developed this love for music. I always wanted, or my mom says, since she can remember me speaking, I just wanted to play violin. And unfortunately, before I could play violin, I had to play piano. And then I fell in love with both instruments. And I noticed you can't use those instruments in a social environment. So I started guitar, and then I joined a church band when I was early high school, messed around with electronic music back then when it wasn't nice, and played classical music. I was trained in classical music on violin, piano, and then in the church band I realized, wait, you can merge, like Jonah said, merging classical instruments and classical style with this rock music. Sort of, I loved it, and that's the only thing I could focus on. Got electric violin, started playing rock music, and I just loved it. And at university, we started a band. The band was doing quite well. It was in the days of MKTV, which was a massive music channel in South Africa, and we had music videos on there and opened for amazing, massive artists, which I adored. And then, unfortunately, what happened, our music was played in a few movies from the band. And then we got some royalty disputes and they messed us over. And at that stage, I was studying law, but not out of choice. I sort of stumbled into law. I started out as an engineer, and then I got bored, and then I wanted to study this graphic design, and my dad said, "No, you have to study something that you can actually use." So I studied law. I thought, okay, law sounds like a good in between.
Sure.
And with some research in the music side, because that's all I wanted to do, and being having a royalty dispute over the music, I started researching copyright, and I literally found out, well, there's this entire genre of law that I wasn't aware of, and I don't think a lot of people are aware of it unless you're in the music industry.
True.
Not only copyright, there's this aspect about music law that I was fascinated with, and I loved it, and I started focusing more on that, and after university and the band broke up because of just everybody went their different ways, and I started focusing on intellectual property law and practicing as an attorney, and noticing that there are so many people that phone us saying, listen here, we had this problem, we had that problem. And then when you tell them, okay, it's going to cost X, Y, and Z, the musicians, you'd never hear from them again.
No.
And I always had this, I wanted to help people, but you're focused on your work. And then I moved away from music, unfortunately. And then all of a sudden it just dawned on me, I've got this love for music, and I have now the skill and knowledge in IP and copyright, merge the two and do something that can help musicians. And that's what, if you can do something you actually love, then you'd never work a day in your life. Sorry, it's corny, but I love music and I love law, so why not combine the two and do it? So
true. Yeah, and I said I love your cause, and I love why you. I'm saddened why you got into it, because there is this problem, there's this gap. A lot of young musos don't know about this, and perhaps even the experienced ones have just been lucky along the way and have never had the problem. And even now in South Africa, so in the States, you have the ASCAP and that sort of thing to take care of your music. We have SAMRO and SAMPRA to take care of our music when it comes to the rights. And right now in South Africa, there are a whole lot of issues that some big musos are bringing up, because they're not paying the right stations. And actually, we've got a guest backstage who knows quite a bit about this, and I'll bring him out a little bit later. He's a bit of a pop-in guest. He's been on the show a couple times before, so we'll bring him out in a minute. But we've got a question here, and I think Tracy and Vance has something to do with what you said about you've got these writers, musicians that like have private jets, and then you've got the guys who don't have much, and then where is that middle ground? And somebody's asked here, why do great talented artists fall through the cracks? I mean, that's a big question. Would you like to try and answer that?
I think from what I've seen is sometimes they don't take care of the business. It's not, we actually were very, very shy people and musicians back several years ago, and we went to a music convention and literally stood against the wall. And in the States we call that being wallflowers, because we just didn't want to go and meet people. But then we went again because we liked it so much, and we started talking to people, and we realized that was kind of the secret to success for us, because it would lead to making friends, and then our friends would introduce us to maybe a publisher, and then the publisher would say, oh, you need to go to this convention too to check it out. It's probably going to be beneficial. And pretty soon we were going to professional organizations. We became members. We were on their email lists, and we're very, very active with that. And it truthfully was one of the things that really helped our career, because you do have to know about the business. It would be great to just stay in our studios. We each have a studio in our home, Pro Tools, and we get lost in there for hours just doing our own little thing. But we realize you do have to get out there too and meet the right people. Some of it's luck, but a lot of it's hard work and just meeting the right people. We have an agent for composers. We don't have him, but we know of him. And he says that there's always a story called, it starts with, I met a guy, or I met a woman, or I met a person who did this, and it led to something, whether it was a mentor or a publisher or a friend or a parent even, who said, you need to do this, or you need to go there, just try it. So we kind of took that to heart. So
yeah, and for all the placements that our music has gotten, we are fully convinced that our piece of music was not the best piece of music on the planet for that particular placement. So why did we get it? Right place, right time. We have our music out there represented by, for us, production music libraries, and they are the ones that have the connections. They put our music in front of the decision makers, and I'm actually happy that it doesn't need to be the best piece of music, because for every piece of music that we have, there are people that have music that's 10 or 100 times better, but they didn't get it where it needed to be.
Right.
And sometimes we've heard stories, and we've had stories of co-writers who didn't want to sign the contract. They forgot, they lost it, they weren't ready, they weren't feeling it. So if you're really serious about doing this, sometimes you have to kind of look at that other side of just being creative. You have to be in the business mindset as well. And sometimes as creatives, we don't like to hear that. It's tough, but that's part of the reality. That kind of separates what they say, the wheat from the chaff, shall we say. So,
No, it's very true.
yeah.
It's very true, and it might be a bit of a harsh reality for people to sort of take hold of, but it's true that you've got to sort of apply yourself when it comes to the business side of things, because people fall through the cracks. But if you're smart, if you show up on time, show up with a good smile, are friendly and nice, and you're happy to meet people, network with people, and follow up.
Yeah.
Make sure you follow up. It's a lesson I've learned. I can't remember who said it. It was a guest of mine, and now I feel bad that I don't remember who said it. Was it Vance?
I think it was Tracy, actually, because she says that all the
time.
But it's very true.
I remember reading it. I'm like, yeah, if following up with people, sending that email, sending that text, sending the Facebook message, whatever you can, send the message. So good meeting you. And who knows, down the line in 4 weeks' time, or a month's time, a year's time, you can pull on that favor, or, here's a song slided across the table. It's those moments. And that's a lesson. I'm pretty sure it was you guys. That's a good lesson to learn.
And the decision makers, they want to work with people that they know. I mean, people want to co-write with us, and if they're strangers, it's like, well, we don't know who you are and how you are, and that's the nice thing about hanging out at NSAI meetings and going into your community, your music community, and you can get to know people, get to know their music, get to see how they conduct themselves, what their reputations are, and then decide, well, do I want to collaborate with that person? Well, the decision makers, the music supervisors, the publishers, the production music library people, they want to work with people they know too. They don't want to work with an unknown. And if we just sit at home in our studios, they're not going to get to know us.
Mm-hmm. And it's also supporting the community. If people watch, say, for instance, your podcast, then they get to know the guests on there. And that's a really valuable resource. And it's also supporting each other, which people need to do. We all need to support each other, because it can be a very lonely business. It can be a very negative business, a lot of no's. And it's really easy to get down. And you need to have a thick skin. It took us a long time. I still get hurt when things get rejected, but you just have to move on. And your community will help you. If you're sad, go reach out to someone and listen to some of their music. And it's really a touchstone, really.
I really love what you said about community, because I find that it's always a dog world sort of view on this industry. But I think that's one of the things I fell in love with Nashville when I went about 3 years ago. And that was coming from South Africa to Nashville, where the industry, and Jono can probably testify to this, where the industry is really tough. The circuits don't exist. You can't perform your original music because you get hired to play your 3 times 45-minute sets, and they're all covers to people. I know that happens in Nashville, of course. It does happen on Lower Broad. But to go to Nashville, where the community is songwriting and people love what you do, and they want to write with you, they want to work with you, they love that song that you did, they love that line, so they're going to work with you. Like that's the relationship, and to build those friendships and going forward, I find is really important. And John is one of my great friends that I've found doing Writers Rounds, and we've written together, and I love him to bits. John, I would love you to hop in here when it comes to, you did the voice essay. So how old were you when you did that?
So a lot of people, some people don't know that I actually did Idols as well before I did the voice when I was 16 years old, and then I did the voice when I was 18 years old. I won't lie, it wasn't the most, how do I say it while being politically correct? It wasn't it wasn't the experience that I expected it to be the first time round when it came to idols. I mean, everyone, and when I say everyone, I mean the general population who doesn't have a basic understanding of the inner workings of the music industry. They don't see what reality TV is and what it does. And a lot of musicians who actually go into that don't know what reality TV is and what it does to them and their careers and how it affects them moving forward, which is something I had to learn the hard way, and something that, a mistake on my part that I'm still recovering from. From Idols reached a point where I actually nearly quit the music industry because I was getting so much negative media and attention because I was the young kid who shouldn't really have been there, there was the one team fans who actually started a boycott to try and get me on the show because I don't really know why people do these things, but it's something that happens. And I actually wasn't going to do the voice, but I had some people twist my rubber arm, to get me on the show. And I'm really, really glad that I did it because, a brand like The Voice was something new and different and something that encouraged actual talent and not just, the typical pop star package, if you know what I mean, or celebrity package, the looks, the voice, the right things to say, the right things to wear, things like that. If you go into the show knowing what you want to get out of it, then it's a completely different experience. Which is why going on The Voice for me was such a different experience, and why I feel I actually managed to get so much more out of it is because I had an understanding of the inner workings of the industry, something that I learned by being surrounded by the people that I was when I was on Idols, having a chat to the vocal coaches backstage and the production team and the camera crew, and, getting this knowledge from people of what it actually takes and what you have to do and what you shouldn't do in certain situations, is really important because, the South African music in its industry in itself compared to America is very small. It's a very close-knit industry. And I'm sure it's similar in the sense when it comes to your guys' sync deals and your publications and publishers that surround there. You'll find a lot of people who are interconnected and know each other, and you have no idea where their relationship came into play. So you have to be very careful in terms of how you present yourself and how you approach certain situations. There's a lot of behind the scenes things that happens when it comes to becoming like a TV personality, because you always have to be Jono Johansson, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So even when you're not on air and you go to the shops to go and get some milk and bread, you get the people that are there, oh my gosh, it's Jono Johansson. It's like, suddenly you have to step out of your sweatpants and your tracksuit top and be the celebrity that people see you to be. It's not always that easy. So yeah, I would say The Voice was an experience that taught me how to respect the industry for what it is, and also how to respect myself as a musician and learn how far to step back and actually think it. Because after the show, the finals came around and there was all this big media, and I was on headlines and on TV. My music video was playing on Mnet, which is for us like the major channel, to get your music stuff on, and I was so happy and excited. That's my music video on TV. Like, it's amazing. And got signed to a record label after that, and well, during the show actually, and then just dove straight into this life that, in all honesty, I knew next to nothing about. When it comes to songwriting, obviously I know how to write a song, but I had no idea what song split agreements were. I had no idea that needle time is different to streaming royalties, and streaming royalties is different to publication royalties, and there's so many different spaces of the business side of the music industry, which is this discussion that we're having, that I knew absolutely nothing about. And it ended up digging a hole for me that I then had to spend a couple of years digging myself out of to get myself back to the point where, you know, I can actually get my career off the ground again.
Yeah.
And it's
Wow.
been quite a tough journey and quite a roller coaster, you know, going from that up and down, because as soon as season 2 of The Voice came around, you know, Jono Johansson disappeared because he was no longer a finalist of The Voice season 1. It's now season 2 is here, he's old news. And
Yeah.
I wasn't smart enough to build up my own brand outside of the brand that's already been established. It was Jono from The Voice, not Jono Johansson. And breaking that stigma is also, you know, that's a very big negative on my side in terms of what I got out of the show.
Sure.
Because people immediately associate me to the show and me to the person who won ahead of me, kind of situation, you know.
Yes.
So there's some deep holes to try and cover up and fill that you didn't need to create in the first place to get yourself to the point.
Yeah, and I think it's sort of knowing who you are before you go into it. Also, being so young, it's difficult because you don't even know who you are. You don't even know what shoes you want to wear that day. But to try to figure out
I know.
brand, these words like brand, and we've even got a comment here by my very first my second singing teacher who started teaching me singing from when I was like 8 years old. So Desi commented, read the small print and demand recording to you as one. So like stay in tune to yourself, stay true to yourself. And it's so true. But it's so difficult as a young artist figuring that out because you've got these contracts that are pages long. You got to sign in each page. I was signed to a record label when I was right out of high school, 18. I was with them for 2.5 years. Great company, local label, great company. I then left them after 2.5 years, and it's two different worlds. And I actually want to bring Christian Bartman up here, and then I'm going to ask Christian Steen a few questions about the contracts and all. But I'm going to bring Christian Bartman up for a hot second. Hello, my friend.
What's up?
Hey, you remember Tracy and Vance?
Hey, Tracy, Vance, how you doing?
Good to see you.
Tracy, guys, I actually scored my first video today. Can you believe it?
Wow, cool,
It was a 3.5 minute
congratulations.
video, and it took me 4 hours.
Oh, that's nothing. That's pretty good. That's fast.
Oh, it was quite bad though. I think I'm like level 1 now.
That's the start. It's just getting started. That's the good thing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
No, that's awesome. And actually, that's something I wanted to chat to you guys about as well, Tracy and Vance, because it's writing songs and then composing. It's I remember you saying that you sort of preferred the composing side of things, but we'll get into that in a hot second. I want to, and Christian Bartman Stain. This is gonna be we're gonna have a moment here. Bartman, you're welcome to hop in with it. Let's also know that you and both Christians know each other. Let's just put that out there.
Yeah.
This is very confusing. But Christian Stain, fame. Do you like when it comes to contracts, because John had signed the contract, record label, and also then with the show, and then Vance and Tracy, obviously with the pub deal and every single that you do, every single sinking deal that you do, you're signing a contract, and that's going to define what goes forward. I mean, it's a huge thing. And at first I sort of thought, just sign it. I mean, what's the point? Just sign it. It's only your career. Then you realize it's your career that's at stake. Your entire career. This could be the song, and everybody's out looking for the song, the break.
Yeah.
So when it comes to like the big mistakes or where do musos, writers, composers go wrong most of the time? Is that a really bad question?
Well, I'm not going to say go wrong. Where don't they know to look is probably a better question.
Sure. Okay.
And I mean, Christian Bartman and I have had many discussions, and I've looked over a few of his agreements or contracts and stuff to help him out there. And the one thing we noticed, because I'm not the only one looking at a contract, there's a few other attorneys also assisting, is a lot of musicians, and look, I only know the South African industry. So please, I know it's going to probably differ in America. Like copyright law, there's some things that differ. But the one thing we noticed is a lot of musicians sign a contract without actually reading it properly or understanding it, because they trust that the record company or the broadcaster or whomever will have their best interest at heart. And then only down the line, they notice they lost the rights in their music, or they're not allowed to put out any new content within a year after being on some show. And they didn't understand it because nobody told them, listen here, this section you're agreeing to here is limiting your career. And the last thing you want to do is go into a legal battle down the line with one of these major companies, major record companies. I'm not going to name names here. I mean, that's the last thing I want to do in this on this platform. But
you don't have to. We know who they are.
The last thing you want is to be out litigated by one of these big companies, because they've got the financial backing to push this. So where musicians go wrong on a contract side is to sign it in the hope that everything is okay, and not have the confidence to tell these people or these companies, listen here, can I just have somebody look over this?
Yeah.
And if they don't want you to look over it, don't sign it, because then there is something that's going to mess you up later down the line.
True. Yeah.
And rather be safe and protect your music. This is your baby. This is your creation. You made it. And protect that, then to just sign it over or sign a contract because you want some exposure or you want to not lose the deal. But take your time when going over agreements. Get somebody that knows law to look at an agreement, because you as a musician won't know what to look for. That's, in essence, when it comes to agreements, that's the things. And they are clever in wording certain aspects. Christian Bartman knows this. They word things in a way that you as a musician won't notice. And they do that with the intention of you not noticing it. So, and again, I'm talking about South Africa because I haven't dealt with international and American. I've dealt with contracts from those companies in South Africa to South African music, but I'm sure it's going to be across the board where they try to sign or to get you in an agreement where you are limited as a musician and as a creator of music to actually do what you love doing, and then owning that product you created later on. Yeah.
And I mean,
I call it the putty contract, because they can mold you and shape you into whatever they want to, because the contract says they can.
Yes,
and they
very
prevent
true.
you from actually doing a live stream, which sounds silly.
Yeah.
A lot of musicians phone me and say, sorry, we can't do live streams during the actual lockdown because our record company literally phoned us and said, you are not allowed to put out your music there. Okay, but you can't do a show, but you're not allowed to do music. Now you're sitting there, you can't have an income because the record company tells you you're not allowed to do it. So that's because of contracts. Because that's the main thing in music. Copyright is what everybody knows, but contracts is the business side. Everything is arranged by contracts and agreements. Musicians don't understand that. Not all of them. Some of them are brilliant. Some of them know more about this than I do. But the majority of musicians don't know the ins and outs of the contract side of music. Or of the...
And that's very true. I've recently signed a publishing deal, and to be completely honest, I love working with my publisher. He's a great guy. He phones me every week, but he honestly chased me for a year. I was one of those girls where I met him for coffee, and then we sort of testing the water with each other, and he chased me for a year, and I'd be like, yeah, I'll have a look at the contract, and to find somebody who pursues you and then also gives you the time and says, please get a lawyer. I want you to get a lawyer. He said that to me, and I was like,
Brilliant.
gosh, I'm gonna get myself a lawyer. And he checked up on this and called me if you got any questions. And the crazy thing is, I before you, you before me, that changes things. That slightest little change is a big thing. And I had a lawyer comb through each and everything. But the thing is, it comes down to hours of work and words and nitty-gritty little things that a lot of musos, they don't have the access to that time and that money, the resources to do that. And that's incredibly sad that it's such a big part. It's such a big part of your world, but you actually have got no control over it, which is stupidly sad. I would like to chat a bit about publishers, and I do want to get to a writer's round soon. But when it comes to a publisher, because we have a question here. Let me find it here. Amanda has sort of commented here. I agree. I almost signed, and then I saw I would be signing my publishing rights away and decided not to. So, I mean, anybody can jump in here. I'm just going to put it out to the room. What are your thoughts on this?
There are some.
Every single record label in the world will try and take your publishing rights. But, it's up to you as an artist. And this is something that every musician has to learn from my side. If you want to go into the side of the industry where there are recording deals and sync deals and publications, publishing, distribution, you need to understand the difference between the two, but also understand where you can put your foot down with these people, because like you say, they'll take advantage of anyone who is oblivious to certain loopholes and certain conditions that they can put in those contracts that you won't necessarily understand or know what that means. The reason why lawyers have kept themselves necessary since the dawn of time is because they use specific law language in those contracts, specific words that give exact connotations to certain things that you wouldn't even have taken cognizance of if you didn't already know what that word meant. That's actually why they use a lot of Latin in contracts as well, is to prevent people from having their own understanding of what the regulations themselves are and why it's so important to have a lawyer on your side. But when it comes to publishing rights, that's your baby. I mean, my first negotiation I got wrong, but the second publishers that I brought on board, I said to them, I'm not giving you 60% of my publishing rights, because I still want majority of my publishing rights. I want to know and have the authority to say where something can and can't go. That shouldn't be up to you. That should be up to me as the artist. So to answer the question from my side, publishing is very important, more important than distribution. So if you can grab onto as much as you can of your own publishing rights, then try and do so.
Yeah. Vance, Tracy, what are your thoughts on this, especially being in the States?
Yes, well, we do have a lot of different publishing deals, and in the sync world, it's really important to understand that you will most likely be giving away half, if not all, of your publishing in most deals. And then there are licensing companies. Some let you keep all of your publishing, or again, half of your publishing, but the deals are really different. Now, if you've written a hit song, definitely try to keep your publishing. But a lot of times publishing comes down to a track record. Are you famous? Do you have a background? Have you had hits or cuts? That's your calling card, is your publishing, and how you always get your writer share. That's a little bit different, and people have to understand in the States, we have writer share and we have publisher share. But publisher share is just an added bonus, if you will. We have some companies where we don't get any of our publishing. We get all of our writer share almost every single deal. Pretty much we get our half, our writer share complete, but we don't always get our publishing. So it's a little different in the sync world than in the hit and artist world.
But I think a key, though, and it's kind of in Alexandra's story, is motivation and incentive. I think for a lot of songwriters, when they hear us say, "Oh, we gave away your publishing, you shouldn't do that." Well, if the company doesn't make any money, then we don't make any money. In order for us to make money, they have to make money. So, and the way our deals are structured, it's like, well, they basically get half. And now if we said, well, we think we should get 90% and you should only get 10%, well, where's the motivation to work? So
So
basically,
true.
they win when they win. And also, you want to work with somebody. I really appreciate your story, Alexandra, about the publisher that wanted to work with you, because that's how we make our decisions.
Right.
If somebody's going to be underhanded and try to sneak things in the contract on us, and they want to start the relationship by being underhanded, I don't want to work with them.
No way. Yeah.
I mean, we're equal partners in the relationships and the contracts that we sign. I mean, we look. That's one of the first things I look for in a contract is what are the splits.
I was actually a paralegal, and Vance reads all the contracts and understands them. It's so different, as Christiane was saying, it's just a whole different type of words. And Donna, you were saying this, it's a whole different language, and it's very hard to understand, and Vance can comprehend it. I don't know how he does it.
It's what are the splits, and then for us, the kinds of deals that we sign, it's for a certain number of songs. It's not our future work.
It's not our babies.
Not our babies. We can
Those
write
are
more.
different, yeah.
So those are the basic things we look for: the splits and for which songs.
And one thing to keep in mind in the sync world is these companies, these publishers, they really earn their half because they are doing promotions, they are creating artwork with your songs. Usually we do a collection of 10 songs. So they are responsible for coming up with, really lovely artwork and then promoting it and propagating it and putting it around the world in many cases. So it is a lot of work for them. So they earn their share. Just something to remember.
It's similar, and a record label also earns their income. I mean, they when it comes, it also depends on the deal. I know we all know from previous experiences, it depends on the deal, but they've got their in-house studios. They're paying for their producers. They're paying for the artwork. They're paying for everything as well. So every part of the industry is earning, has the right to earn that income. They have studied to do that thing. Lawyers deserve to be paid because they studied to do that thing. And then you get wonderful people like Christiane Steyn who put together an organization for people that can't afford that. So that's awesome. But I think we got to be careful not to make these companies out to be villains, because a lot of them actually do their job right. They chase you, they have the right splits and all that. But then you do get the people that do target the musers, the writers that don't know a lot, and they're wet behind the ears, and they're fresh at this, and they're just trying to sort of find that number one spot. We've actually got a comment here, if I can find it now, because we've got so many comments, which is crazy. But here's Tian that says here, it's a big comment, for a new songwriter, singer, artist, fresh on the couch. Where do you start? Do you worry about knocking on fame, or do you get your name out first? I mean, it's a challenging thing as a fresh artist to start somewhere, but it's important to know certain lingo, to know certain things when it comes to contracts, what to look out for, just the basics. If you're giving away 90% of your rights, that's a bad idea. And just to know those basic things, but then you can then knock on people's doors and talk to people like Christiane Steyn, find people like John Johansson, Tracy and Vance. It's all a Facebook friendship request away. Networking. I love that word. And Christian Bartman and I were actually, that was something we brought up, I think when Tracy and Vance, you guys were on here last time. It's almost a dirty word, networking. Because it's rubbing shoulders, it's deals and all that, but actually it's just saying, hey, can I buy you a cup of coffee? Hey, can I take you for lunch? Can I pick your brain on this? Do you mind just, I mean, even we've got somebody here, Amanda, who says, yes, I asked a friend in the music business to look at the contract, and that's how I realized I should not sign. Just ask a friend. There are people out there who have been there, seen it, done it, got the t-shirt. And they're happy to help, happy to see what they can do,
Well, to answer, sorry, Alexandra, to answer Amanda's question about how do you start, just understand that you're not going to know all this stuff. It'll take sometimes years and years and years. We're still learning stuff every day. So you're always going, maybe not always, but I think 99% of us have signed those bad contracts, have been with those bad publishers, have been with a shady record label. You're always going to hear that story. And the best advice we always give is just learn from that and move on. And don't do that again. Or next time, hire the lawyer that understands that thing. And the other thing I would say to someone like her is, there's my favorite quote, to begin, you begin. So just start. You don't have to know everything, just start.
And be careful of the clauses. Be careful of the clauses that affect what your future work is going to be.
Yes.
You want to make sure you don't sign away all the songs or what you write for the next 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 years. If it's for a given established body of work or for the next 10 songs that you write, so that there's some type of definition of what it covers. Because if it's going to cover what you do for the next 3 or 5 years, well, we're not signing that.
And just know that you're a creative person. You can always create, and that no one can ever take that from you. And even during bad times, that's when some of us are most prolific. So the lesson is, maybe you'll sign a couple of songs and you'll regret it. We've certainly done that. We had a friend sign 200 songs to a company and nothing happened. And we kept telling him, this is a new company. I don't think you should do that. And he said, oh, I'm okay. But now he's trying to get those songs back. 200 songs. He's very prolific, but that's a lot of songs. And he produced them. They're well done, and he can't get those back. So be very careful. That was kind of a common sense thing, So, just be careful. But no, you can always create more songs. You will get better as your life experiences change, and you'll see things in different ways. Don't you guys, as creative, find that to be true?
So if I can jump in, something I tell my students is once you sell your soul, you find out it wasn't worth much to start with. So it's the idea of we're so precious with our art, and it's good, it's something that comes from our heart and everything. But at some point, you kind of get to a point where you can create out of other source. It's a practical source. It's a renewable source. It's something that's more academic, and and like for me, I've also signed a bunch of contracts in my life that was really bad. And I was in a contract for about 2.5 years where I was totally taken out of the market in every sense of the word. Also by a company that said that they're going to put my work up, and they made a bunch of promises. They're going to evolve me as a songwriter, and we're going to go to song camps. I'm going to write for the biggest artists in the country, and all these promises never happened. But the point is the fact that it's okay, because now you go on with your life. Life goes on. It's not the end of the world. And you learn so much in those times. And I mean, if I go back, I learned so much in that period that I wouldn't be who I am now without that experience.
Sure.
So was it bad? I don't know. I can't take it back. So I'm going to take the positive out of it. And the other thing as well is when you get to a point where you're a bit more senior, I'm not at all at a point where I think I'm a mainstream songwriter or anything, but I am on a senior level where I can say, cool, man, let's do a 12-month contract. Let's see what happens. And nobody ever says no. And then after 12 months, and it's never a fully committed contract. It's just like, hey, this is the work that I give to you. And if I'm not happy at any point, I can just take the rest of my work to someone else. But the stuff I give to you, you can work with for a year. Let's see what happens. And nobody says no. And a year is not that bad, And the other thing as well is the fact that, you're not as good as you think you are. If people aren't singing your songs,
it's so true.
If people aren't singing your songs, if your stuff aren't getting cut, then maybe you're not that good yet. Maybe you need to work a bit more. Just because you're very emotional about a song doesn't mean the song's good.
That's so true. That's very true, Christian, because we early on, about 10 years ago, we had some songs that we thought were fantastic and no one wanted them. And it turned out our mixes were terrible. We just didn't know how to mix. And once we started learning and working with people and getting better mixing equipment and plugins, it completely changed almost overnight. Our mixes and all our songs started getting signed. So you're right. That's a very good thing to
But
think
it's
about.
not just the quality of your songs. That's obviously it has to be a certain level of quality, but it's finding your market. A song that is perfect for film, TV maybe nobody wants to stream it or listen to it, but it's perfect for film TV. So, or maybe it's just finding the right streaming platform or the right labeling it as the right genre. Now, there's so much music out there. There's so many different avenues for the music to go, and just trying to hook it all up to find the optimal pairing. It's tricky.
Yeah.
That's true.
But I mean, you'll get better. You get better. The more you practice, the better you get. I mean, for me as well. I mean, I'm sitting in front of my computer every day, and every now and then I get to a point where I listen to a mix that I did like a year ago, and I'm like, what? Did I send that out? I'm like, how did I work before Q? I'm like, what? So I mean, anyway, just
and now you're
comment.
scoring a video. Now you're scoring video. So
Well, that's also very crap. But I think the first step is just to start.
yes,
Just to start, that's a
begin.
great thing. I think we're at the end of this because gosh, we've got so much to unpack in this. And this is crazy. Like I love this. I love talking like this. And I think at the end we're also going to go through like these key. I have to put together like a book of everything that
There's an idea.
said on the show, like little bits and pieces, little things, follow up and network and just start, like little things like that. Read the fine print, like we got to put together a book of these little quotes. I mean, just incredible. But we've got a heck load of comments coming through. People are loving this. They're saying yes. They're saying yes. Keep writing. Keep doing stuff. And I love what you guys. If you guys have any more questions out there, pull them in. We're gonna have a little writers round, just a minute, just to go, because I'm getting but flustered now because this is exciting for me. So just a minute for a second. We're gonna pause it for a sec, and then we're gonna get back to some questions. We're gonna go over time a bit. If you guys are fine to go over time just by a little bit of time, are you fine with that?
Sure.
Great. Let me know if it's
good.
a problem. I know we all have busy lives and all, but I really do appreciate your time on this. It's invaluable. So thank you, all of you, for doing this. I really do appreciate it. And clearly people are appreciating this too. So let's start this writers round. I'm going to ask Jono to start this, and then we'll go to Christian Steen. Are you cool to play something as well?
I think in the interest of time, go over to Christian Bartman and then you, the full-time musicians tonight.
I'm cool with that. Cool. After Jono, we'll go to Christian B and Bartman. And then then I'll do something, and then we'll carry with the little odds and ends questions, and then we'll sign off. But in case people don't know what a writer's round is, a writer's round mainly exists in Nashville in Tennessee. It's a bit like an open mic. You find open mics in LA and New York and all that, but writer's rounds mainly happen in Tennessee, and they've sort of drifted out at it as well. And it's a platform for singer-songwriters to get up on stage and to perform their original music, tell the story behind it, and to an audience that wants to listen and wants to know the story. And that's what we have here, which is really exciting. This is the Music Cafe. This is why we're here. So, Jono, you know the drill. I'm going to let you take it away. Tell us a little bit of keep it hashtag Tinder bio, 90 words, whatever the limit is. Little story, and then I'll introduce Christian after you. Go for it.
Coolio. So this song is actually one that I wrote with a friend of mine who I met at karaoke, which I do once a week. I think it's like a religious thing for me, generally when there's not lockdown and we're not stuck at home. But, we met there and we wrote the song because we found that we actually had a very similar story growing up in terms of, our parents and how we had the support structure in our moms. So this song is called I Got My Mama. And it's basically just saying thank you to the person, who was always there to pick you up when you fell down and always there to, cheer you on when you felt demotivated. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it. I can still feel the sun on my skin. Takes me back to what I've been. That spring little When mama's cooking in the kitchen, warm hearts, story lines, never tired of the same story lines. We didn't go up with much, but we had it all. She'll always catch you when you fall. Those memories were so long ago, so close but still so far from home. But I know that I'm never alone, because I got my mama. My mama's got me. There's no soul on this earth that can match to our worth. Without her, I don't know where I'd be. Yeah, I got my mama. My mother's got me. Even though we're apart, we will never be far. Got you in my heart. When the blues hit, there's a friend inside of you. I just can't explain. You take the pain away, and when I'm confused, yeah, you always know what to do. You are the light in my life, and I'm so grateful for you. Those memories were so long ago, so close but still so far from home. But I know that I'm never alone, because I got my mama. Yeah, my mama's got me. There's no soul on this earth that can match to our worth. Without her, I don't know where I'd be. Yeah, I got my mama. My mama's got me. Even though we're apart, we will never be far. Got you in my heart. Mama's got me. Yeah, I got my, oh, I got my yeah.
Thank you. I love that song. I really do love that song. I've heard it a number of times and I do love that. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. That was beautiful. Thank you, Jono.
That's great.
Pleasure.
Oh,
Cool groove.
so Christian, I know you've Bartman, you've done a live show already today, and you've been. I feel like you've been standing there for like 12 days now, and I'm very sorry. You deserve a seat or something, like a bar stool or something.
No. I don't like to sit and sing. That doesn't work for me.
I like that. Okay, well then.
But
That's
Jono,
fine.
you're amazing, dude. I'm gonna Google stalk you after the show.
Isn't it incredible?
Oh,
Yeah, wow. Sorry, I don't really watch TV, so I kind of missed that whole thing. But dude, you're like insanely talented.
Thanks,
I love it.
broski. I've actually seen you perform a lot, like a lot. And I've never really had the chance to have a chat to you afterwards, but maybe we should write a song after this whole thing. When Uncle Cyril says we're allowed to leave our houses again.
That's fine. I've got emergency. Christian organized me emergency traveling visas, so I can come over to your place, dude.
Nice. Well, then we'll set this up. Don't worry, I got your back, boo. I got your back on both your backs. Well, Christian Bartman, do you wanna have a go at the Write It On next?
Yeah. Let's do a silly song. I don't think.
Okay, that sounds good.
So I'm gonna do a silly song.
Go
so in
for
South
it.
Africa, we tend to drink a lot, and what happened was that Uncle Cyril said we weren't allowed to drink for like 10 weeks, so things kind of got out of hand at a stage, and so I kind of wrote a song about that typical Sunday morning, you know, when you're done with your binging. I'm not talking about Netflix. So this song was written out of experience. I'm never drinking again. I'm never drinking again. I'm never downing a shot. I'm never smoking no pot. I'm never drinking again. I'm never getting high just to get out of the slow. Every time I see double, I know there is trouble. Never drinking again. 'Cause brandy makes me randy and tequila makes old Lisa look like a supermodel. Beer gives me muscles and gin makes me hustle. The kind folks at the bar, I'm never drinking again. I'm never drinking again. I'm never downing a shot. I'm never smoking no pot. I'm never drinking again. I'm never getting drunk just to get out of this funk. Every time I see double, I know there is trouble. Never drinking again. I wake up in strangers' bathtubs with limbs partially wrapped up in local clinic's cloth. I might have just to say sorry to the owner of that Ferrari for mistaking it for the can. I'm never drinking again. I'm never drinking again. I'm never downing a shot. I'm never smoking no pot. I'm never drinking again. Every time Jack and Coke calls me, I can't stay away from that need. I think I can have just one. I'm not drinking again. I'm drinking again. Might be downing a shot. Might be smoking. No, I don't smoke. I promise I only have one. Drinking again. Don't call my mom. Okay?
Oh man, I love what you do. I love the songs you write. I feel like oh wait, we got a comment here. Hang on.
Oh, and just disclosure as well. I don't smoke pot either. It was just like in the time that pot became legal in South Africa, so I just had to put it in there. You know.
I mean, it was, yeah, it was.
You're edgy. You're being edgy.
Good. Yeah, I love that. Oh, we got applause going here. That was great. I think the thing about music is that it's a universal language. It does something. It just gives something to your soul. And whether it's about your mom or it's about drinking, I mean, it does something to your soul. And music is supposed to make you feel something. And if it's not doing that, you're doing it wrong. So this is a great room. I've written with both of these gentlemen before, and John and I wrote a beautiful song.
Wait, let me guess. You and Jono like wrote something really deep, and we wrote something about donuts, right? No, that's gonna.
You're not wrong.
Shows you where her priorities lie.
John and I are like writing this new song about, because we've got similar, we've got similar views in the industry, and we're like, yeah, we're gonna, young and unafraid, we're gonna do this. Pick up the torch and we're gonna run. And then Christian and I get together. We write a song called, what was the song called? What's the song called? Was it just called
Donuts?
Donuts. That was it. Because we were literally talking. We got together. We literally got together. I was like, we started talking about carbs. We were both on like a sort of a healthy food thing, eating healthy, whatever. And we're like, really craving donuts. That's our song. Cool. Cool. And then donuts, I got the sweetness of its taste. And then you, very cute little catchy tune. That's a sync song. We need a donut. We need Krispy Kreme or someone to like pick up that song. So if any sync companies are out there that want a donut song, we'll hop on a Zoom with you and we'll show you our donut song, okay? We got this, boo. Ooh, okay. So, can you guys hear the guitar right?
Yeah.
Brilliant. I always like to double check, make sure. So I'm gonna play a song that I wrote a couple of years ago. I also released it as a single, but it was, I just gone to Nashville for the very first time. John knows exactly where I'm going with this song.
I'm totally harmonizing with you.
Oh my gosh! If the signal's good, then But I wrote this song. I wrote my first. Calm down. My first trip to Nashville. I said, I'm not going to write anything. I'm going to spend I was only there for 2 weeks, and that's like no time. In Nashville, there's not enough time to see everything. So now I go for like a month and a half. Like I've learned my lesson. My first trip, I went for 2 weeks, and I rocked up and I said, I'm not going to write a single song. I'm going to take notes. I'm going to keep a journal. And when I come home, I'll write. I'll be full of inspiration. Problem was, that's not possible when you're surrounded by that type of inspiration. So I literally got home on like my second or third night, and I was like, this is it. I got to write a song. So I wrote this song. And I just had a lot of fun writing it, and I hadn't never been on Tinder before. I had no idea what Tinder was, but I knew that on Tinder, when you like someone, you swipe right. That's all I knew. And then you swipe left when you don't like somebody, and then you swipe up when you want to super like someone, but you have to pay for that version. So we do the free version where you just swipe right. We don't pay for the extra stuff. So I wrote the song called Swipe Right, because if I happened to be on Tinder, I happened to be on Tinder and Nashville came up, I'd swipe right for Nashville. I'd swipe right. The song is called Swipe Right. Jim is playing his guitar better than I ever could. And Ray's got a song he wrote today about his neighborhood. And there's Josh sitting behind the bar. He's a strong and silent type. There's something about Nashville that makes me swipe. You guessed it, right. The girls wear boots, skirts, hair falling down their back. The guys wear jeans and button shirts, wearing cowboy hats. And there are many folks from all over the world, many different types. There's something about Nashville, swipe right. And there long roads I'm driving, and my world is coming to something good. When I see that turn up on the highway, my heart jumps to see if it's Friday. If for Nashville, I'd swipe right. Now, I'm missing home more than I thought. Mostly my dog. The autumn African rain is what I'm dreaming of. But the air is full of legends who have shaped me and my life. There's something about Nashville that makes me swipe right. And there, Lord, Nashville. Yeah, for Nashville. Yeah, long roads I'm driving. My world is coming to something good. When I see that turn up on the highway, my heart jumps to see if it's Friday. Yeah, for Nashville. Yeah, for Nashville. Yeah, for Nashville. Yeah. Whoa, Nashville.
I was like, not yet.
That's why I again. That's why who? Just for Nashville. I'd swipe right.
You're such a millennial.
That was fun. I haven't done that song in a minute. I love that song. Thank you for doing the movements with it. You know, it's all part of the fun. It's all part of the fun.
Yeah.
You have to, otherwise it doesn't count.
I was
Gosh,
really
John is
hoping
so
that I could
calm.
actually like dig over into your slides so I could like, swipe right.
I love that. Oh my goodness. We got a few comments.
Right, quickly, let's high five. Let's high five.
Oh, there we go. High five. This thing's
Yeah.
it's a whole it's a whole it's backward, isn't it? There we go. That was so sweet. You know, guys, this has been such an incredible room. This really has been such an incredible show. I love just sucking information out of you all because you're all so knowledgeable, and everyone's just commenting here saying how much they appreciate it, and the comments are just pouring in ready. Firstly, loving the music. Thank you both to our gentlemen for playing this beautiful music. Thank you. And
Thank you.
and to all of you for your knowledge. I think you know what, we've gone way over time, so thank you so much. Thank you for staying. Thank you for staying. I really do appreciate it, and I owe you all a coffee when I see you. I'll buy you all I promise you that. I think we've come to our end of the show. Unfortunately, I do want to have you all back because I don't think we've even sort of scratched the surface enough here because there's too much.
Yeah,
to do.
100%.
That's the problem. There's too much.
Episode 2.
Episode 2. So we're going to have we're gonna have to have it all back, and we'll organize this. So Tracy and Vance, you know the drill. You'll just be back on here. I'm gonna keep you guys here. We'll just talk forever and ever and ever. Oh, there we go. Here, that was a very interesting discussion. Thank you so much, Stu. Thank you so much for the comments. If there are any comments that you guys that our viewers, if you guys still have questions, whatever, you can find every single one of us on Facebook and on YouTube, Facebook and Instagram and all that. So, and even get in touch with me. I'm Alexandra May Music. DM me and I can sort of connect whoever we need to connect. So don't worry. Before we go, Christian Stain, when it comes to fame.org, for any musos that need to get in touch with you, is there a way for them to get in touch with you? What should they do? Just when it comes to advice or anything, how should they do that?
Okay, easiest way, you'll see at the bottom, I think it's here, on your screen is our website as well, and on my screen. Go to our website, all our links are there. You can email us. Social media works wonderfully. So Facebook, we have a lot of info on Facebook, and just try and get a hold of us. But Facebook mainly, emails. If you have my number, phone me. You'll probably get my number if you send me an email. I'll start phoning you. Just make use of fame. I mean, like you mentioned earlier, you wish you had somebody looking at the agreements and stuff. Now at least you know there is an organization that can help you as a musician.
Yes.
So, get in touch. And Alexandra, thank you for including fame into this entire Music Cafe, and thanks to IBM TV for allowing us. So I'll just put that hashtag. So everybody all the fame viewers, the fame.org.za viewers, you'll see this Alexandra stream from now on every Sunday on Fame's site as well. So get more information into musicians' heads. So thank you for that.
No, of course.
Yeah. There's no such thing as a stupid question. Just one thing I want musicians to remember. If you're uncertain about something, about a legal side, rather ask us or anybody than just think you know.
I agree. There's no such thing as a stupid question, and that's going to go into the book as well. We're going to pull the Music Cafe book, and it's just going to have a whole lot of quotes. So I'm going to start collecting this for real. I'm going to go watch previous episodes, and this is a big one. I'm going to pull like the majority of quotes from this episode, and then obviously, apparently, we're having a part 2. Like this is it now. It's official, guys. I'm sorry. People are saying this. We've had a couple of comments. So I think if we can just round off the show, if we've learned a whole lot from this episode when it comes to networking. There's never a stupid question. Follow up. Show up on time. Be nice. That was a quote. That was a quote that Matthew O'Connell, who's known as Chucky here in South Africa, actually said last week. Be nice. You gotta be nice. You can't be known as the person that's hard to work with. You can't be known as that guy in the industry. It's a small industry in any country. It's a small amount of people that know each other. That it's all favors for each other. And so you gotta be nice in this industry. So can we go around the room, starting with Jono, then Tracy and Vance, Christian Stain, Christian Bartman. If you guys have some pearls of wisdom, you just like to sort of tell our viewers, just as sort of an ending part of our show.
Okay, so my one is one that I learned the easy way because I managed to find myself in those opportunities. But if you are a musician starting out in the industry and you're uncertain of certain things in certain spaces, like the music industry is one of the most supportive places. It's also one of the most hostile places, but one of the most supportive places that you can find yourself in. Every single muso that respects the industry will always be there to give you a helping hand. So if you want to get better and get your name out there, if you want to be the best musician that you can be, my best advice is to surround yourself by people who both know more and who are far better than you.
Love that. Thank you, Jono. And I love you. And I can't wait to see you and have a cup of coffee and have a good writing session again soon. So thank you so much. Tracy and Vance, any words, pearls of wisdom?
I'd just like to say never give up. Just at a point when we would always feel like giving up, something would happen. And I said that the last show too, and it's very true. There are some times when I say, why are we doing this? We just poured all our life savings into it and even racked up credit cards or whatever we had to do to buy studios. And it was so disheartening so many times. But just when we were at the point where we thought we should give up, something would always happen, and it always does. And you have to find your team. If you're not good at mixing, find your mixer. If you're not good at writing lyrics, find a lyricist. If you're not good with the law and reading contracts, you should always find an attorney. So that's it. Find your team and never give up.
I think that a lot of people look at it, they want to get into the music business, and they want this publisher to do this for me, and I want this record label, I want you to do this for me. The people that are successful in the music business go around saying, what can I do for you? What do you need? Mr. Music Supervisor, Mrs. Music Supervisor, what show are you working on? Do I have music that fits there? Or is a publishing company looking for somebody who can write novelty songs or whatever it is? What can you do for them? If you look at it that way, you have a much better chance of success.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Thank you so much. Again, this is like you guys are going to take up most of the quote book, apparently. This is thank you so much. I love that. Never give up. And yeah, it should not be a selfish thing. It's your baby. Sure, it's your creation. Sure, it's your heart that you're putting out there. But the reality is it shouldn't be a selfish thing because you're creating this for the world. And people have to be able to, you have to let people in to judge it. You have to let people in to help you along that journey. Find the right team. Team is another word. That's a good word, team. And I think in our part two, we should talk about team as well, because that's also a huge part of the industry that not many people know to do that. So I'm gonna sort of write that down somewhere, and that's gonna be part of our part 2 for sure. But again, if anybody has any questions, just DM them straight to me, and I will pass them on to, whoever you would like to talk to. Everybody's open. It's surrounding yourself, like John said, surrounding yourself with the right people who have the right things to say, who are better than you at certain things, so you can learn from them. So thank you, Tracy and Vance. I really do appreciate your input. Christian Stein, any parting words?
Yeah. Remember, when it comes to relationships in the music industry, no relationship is the same as anything else. So every instance and every relationship will be unique. Look at what you want to get out of it. And this is relationship with publishers and record labels and anyone. Look what you want to get out. Make sure you did your research. Don't just fit yourself into a box or allow them to fit you into a box. Take your time. Don't agree to anything without checking and making sure you're comfortable with it. And then make sure everything you agree to is set out in writing. It's so that there's no uncertainty later on. If it was not in writing, it did not happen. There's your quote. If it's not in writing, it did not happen.
I love that. It wasn't in writing. Didn't happen, guys. Make sure everything, even if it's on a napkin. One of the biggest lessons that I've learned when it comes to co-writing, and Tracy and Vance, I know that you're probably going to know exactly this. When you walk into a room and you finish the song, the first thing you want to do is make sure you guys know where you stand on that song, because this could be the song. This could be the sync. This could be the composition. And you want to make sure you know exactly where you stand with that, because the little nitty-gritties, the little percentages will make or break it. So even if it's on a napkin, just make somebody sign it. It doesn't matter. Piece of your hand, take a picture of the thing on your hand. It doesn't matter. Make sure it happens. So I really do appreciate that. Thank you. That's a good one for the quote book.
In
Christian
part two,
Bartman.
I've got a great example for the making a wrong mistake with the song splits and things. But part two.
Part two. Oh, don't tease us like that. That is
Write it
terrible.
down, man. Write it down.
That is terrible. How
Didn't happen if you don't write it down, man.
Wow. Okay. We're gonna. John has got a story. I'm gonna make notes of this. Okay. Christian Bartman, do you have any? I know you've been on the show a few times, so thank you so much for joining me again, being a pop-in guest and being the fabulous star that you are, and writing a song about donuts with me. And I love you for that. And now I feel like donuts.
I've only had 2 today. I'm really proud of myself.
I've had 0 today. That is
But see,
okay.
that's why you look like that and I look like this.
No. I don't care.
Self-discipline.
I think we should get like a donut somebody to sponsor the show.
Now we're talking.
I'm just saying. So forget the sync deal. If anybody wants to sponsor the show, just bring us donuts and I'll deliver them to all the guests. Christian Bartman, do you have any pearls of wisdom, some parting words?
Yeah, right. I wish I had issues with contracts, because that means I've got stuff people want. Just right, man. like the moment.
I love
the
you
moment.
so much.
No, but I'm like dead serious, because you write 1 or 2 songs a month and you think you're a songwriter. No, dude.
Yeah.
Like the most successful songwriters write 8 songs a day. That's like the standard for the big ones. So if you're writing 1 or 2 songs a month, cool, dude. That's a cool hobby you've got there. But if you really want to be a songwriter, dude, write songs. That's all it's about, man. I'm having a slow week, and I write 5 songs this week, and it's like I can't call myself a songwriter for 5 songs a week. Just write them, dude. Once you have them, it's cool. You'll write more. That song is not the best song ever. If you accidentally write the hit song, you didn't do it on purpose. I promise you. You did it accidentally.
There is no formula. This is why I love Christian. I love him. I've learned so much from this guy here. And if anybody again wants to just DM him, DM me, I'll connect again. Like it's fine. I love what you say. It's connected to what we've been talking about, that if you sign away those few songs for that time, it's not the end of the world. You can test the water. You can sort of build your contracts, negotiate the contract, so that it's only for a certain time period, only for a certain amount of projects. It's you're gonna do it. You're gonna keep doing it. You're gonna write that hit song again. It's gonna come out of you if it's in you, and you're constantly working that muscle. It's gonna come out of you. It's just the way it is. If you practice to run 100-meter sprint, you're gonna do it again because you've practiced at it. So I think the key again, I love that. keep writing. If you write your 2 million songs to find the one hit, so that's just the way it is. It's the same formula for everybody. We're all in the same boat. So guys, thank you so much for contributing to this cafe. You guys have been awesome. I love you all so much. I can't wait to see you all in person. And Vance and Tracy, I'm coming to San Diego. I'm gonna come to San Diego. I'm gonna see you guys. Oh my gosh, I have to just sit down and just
lock the doors. I'm joking.
Maybe we'll just meet you in Nashville. We'll meet you halfway.
Okay, I'll bring the donuts.
There you go.
I love that. Oh, we're still getting comments. I'm gonna just throw one more comment here. Yes, right. Keep writing songs. Now in this lockdown, they're gonna tell great stories. I agree. Hashtag just keep writing, guys. That's the way it is. Keep hustling. So surround yourself with the right people, with the right team. You guys have been fabulous. I'm gonna sign off. I'm just gonna keep talking for another 2 hours if I don't sign off now. So thank you so much, everybody. Stay safe out there, and I'll chat to you guys in a whole second. I'm gonna say goodbye to our viewers. Bye. Oh man, everybody has been so fabulous. What a great show. Wasn't this just a fantastic one? If you guys enjoyed it, keep the comments coming. I'm gonna keep watching it. I will connect people. If you're an SA musician and you need some help, DM me, Alexandra May Music, everywhere. I will connect you with the right people. We are a community of songwriters. That's the point of this. We are here to help each other. And if you're just a person that loves music, if you got questions, let me know. I'll help you out there. But for now, I'll see you guys same time, same place. Next week, we have an epic show planned for next week as well. And stay tuned for the part 2 of this show, because we need a part 2, possibly a part 3. But for now, guys, stay safe, call your loved ones, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
I ain't no typical girl. I ain't no typical girl. I ain't cheerleading while the boys play ball. I ain't no typical girl.